All right, welcome. Today, we're going to talk about something that every single creator struggles with. How do you actually make your message land? We're going to dig into a really simple but honestly game-changing idea, shifting away from trying to shout to everyone and instead learning how to talk to someone. Let's dive in.
You ever feel like this? You pour all this time and energy into making something you think is great, you hit publish, and then crickets. It just kind of gets lost in the noise. You're trying to make something that appeals to this huge, broad audience, but what happens is your message gets watered down, and that real connection, it just never happens. And look, that's not you failing. It's a strategy problem. It comes from not having a clear focus.
But hey, there is a solution. It's a simple little tool called the practical persona. Now hold on. This is not about inventing some super detailed fake character out of thin air. Not at all. This is about giving you, the creator, a tool that brings some serious clarity to pretty much every decision you have to make.
So let's be super clear on what this is and what it isn't. A practical persona is a guide. Its only job is to be useful. We're not writing a screenplay here. The goal isn't some complex imaginary friend. It's more like a compass. It's a tool that represents the one person you really want to help or entertain, and it makes sure that everything you create is pointing in their direction.
And this is the payoff. When you don't have a persona, creating content can feel like that tangled mess on the left. You're just trying a bunch of different things, hoping something, anything, will work. But the second you know exactly who you're talking to, everything changes. Your path becomes a straight line right to your target. Suddenly, writing a hook that grabs them, it's easy. Picking examples that actually make sense to them, done. It just cuts through all the noise and guesswork.
Okay, so how do we actually build one of these things? Let's break down the key parts. And the goal here is to keep it simple, right? A useful template you can fill out fast without getting lost in a bunch of details that don't really matter.
And here it is. This is the whole shebang. It's quick, it's clean, and it gets right to the point. And notice what we're asking here. We're not asking about their favorite food or their eye color. We are zeroing in on the stuff that actually helps you create for them. What are their problems? What do they want? And where do they already hang out online?
Okay, let's just walk through this real quick. Step 1, name and context. This just makes them feel real enough to talk to. Sarah, the freelance designer. Simple. Step 2, problem and desire. This is the absolute core of it. What's the big headache in Sarah's life? And what's the dream outcome she's looking for? Step 3 is basically your North Star. What does she think is valuable content? A quick tip, a deep dive analysis, and finally, step 4 tells you where you can actually find her and who she's already listening to. See how each one builds on the last? It creates a super focused roadmap.
All right, so this is crucial. This is not just some theoretical thing you do once and then forget about. The real magic happens when you actually put it to work. So let's talk about the one thing you can do like right now to make this whole idea real.
Now, a really important piece of advice. Don't go crazy with this. The whole point is to find focus, not create more complexity for yourself. You do not need a giant binder full of a dozen different profiles. Just 1 or 2 is all you need to get started. Seriously, start with your main person. Maybe add a second one if you have another very different audience. But that's it. 1 or 2 is all it takes to make your message incredibly sharp.
So here it is. This is your one actionable takeaway. I want you to try this today. Take the very next piece of content you're working on, doesn't matter if it's an article, a video, whatever, and just rewrite the hook, the first sentence or 2. But this time, write it like you were talking directly to that one person you just defined. And just notice the difference. Feel how the tone changes, how the language gets clearer, and how the promise you're making becomes so much more specific and powerful.
And that's really the power of the practical persona. It's a tiny shift in how you see your audience that causes this massive change in your impact. It really is the difference between speaking to a faceless crowd and actually connecting with a person. So the only question left is the one you see right here. Who will you talk to first?